Hey everyone, it's Julian, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make super cool techno pads like you hear in tracks by artists like Victor Ruiz, Enrico Sangiuliano, Zimmz, Adam Bayer, Anna, Weba, these kinds of techno artists. As usual, you can get the project file and samples and MIDI and presets and all the stuff that we're about to create in this video in the description for free. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there. It's already available. And one more thing before I start, I'm actually dropping a techno EP this week. So today is the 24th that I'm recording this. If you're watching this in the future, it's not that. But I'm dropping an EP on Spartaki's label, IMT, IM Techno, whatever you want to call it, on June 28th. Really excited for that one. Here's a quick preview. And yeah, so let's dive in. So the first sound that we're going to make here is going to be like a big supersaw type of pad. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get Wavetable. And I really like using Wavetable for these. Let's write in some MIDI really quick. But Wavetable is really good because it has like these interesting unison modes that I'll show you. So I'm going to go in here and just write in some quick MIDI. Let's just do like F minor. And then we'll have it switch between the G sharp and G there. So it'll be like. Alright, sounds good. So yeah, you know, usually the MIDI for these isn't that complicated. It's just kind of like some chords, maybe playing around with a few voices like that. I like doing this and not just having it be like one thing the whole way through because it gives it a bit of movement. Like when I'm making tracks, I find if you just have a pad in the background like the whole time through, it sounds cool, but it's going to add a lot more dimension to the track, and your overall track is going to sound a lot better if you have some movement going on with it. So that's what we got there. So what we're going to do here is we're going to switch this to a saw wave. I'm going to turn on oscillator 2, and we're actually going to use a square wave for that. And then we're going to set the amp envelope like this. I'm going to give it a small amount of attack and a little bit of release. Perfect. That's very loud. All right. And then from there, what we're going to do is we're going to go in here, we're going to turn on the unison, and we are going to use the noise settings. So like I said, the unison has a bunch of cool settings inside of Wavetable. You can get a bunch of different cool types of sounds, but we're going to use this noise one here you can hear. It adds like this really cool noisy texture to the sound. So that's pretty cool. Let's dial this filter back a little bit. We'll give it some resonance. And then we're going to go to the matrix here, and I'm going to put the LFO on that filter frequency a little bit as well. Not a whole lot. We'll probably want to slow it down. Yeah, there we go. Just like slowly moving it a little like that. Alright, that sounds really cool. So you can hear this sound has a lot more life to it now. Like, it's gone. It's not just like, you know, a saw wave and a square wave playing like one long held out note. It's really got like movement, and you can really feel it like kind of breathing and living. And this is what we're aiming for. It's like not so much just to make a good pad that, like I said, just drones on one chord, but to make something that's alive and has kind of like some depth to it like this. Alright, I'm going to try pitching up the square wave an octave. That sounds cool. Let's detune it a little as well. Okay, nice. So then we can put some effects on here. I'm going to get some chorus. Chorus does a really good job of kind of taking it out of just sounding like a dry synth. Like, it's a good way to add texture to sounds like this because it's not really that crazy. It's not like adding a lot of like saturation or anything like that. Like, you know, if you added a saturator to give it texture. But you can hear when I turn this on, it just gives it like this very watery kind of texture. Alright, sounds cool. From here, I'm going to give it some echo. The echo is cool with sounds like this when you have kind of like, you know, it's kind of like opening and closing like that. Because you get all the delays cascading on top of each other. And then it just sounds a lot more interesting in the finished project. And I'll use a really slow time too. We're just gonna do half notes. Alright, sounds cool. And then what we're also going to do here is we're going to turn the feedback down a little bit. And then we are going to get some reverb. And so the reverb and delay may seem like a bit of overkill. It can be in some cases. In this case, I like using it because it makes it a lot more ambient. Like, what'll happen, I kind of learned this through trying to play, like, ambient guitar, if any of you guys are familiar with that. It's like, if you just put it through the reverb, you're just hearing that reverb tail, right? When we add in the delay, what happens is now not only are we getting the reverb from the original sound, but now we're getting all these echoes and the reverbs from those going through the reverb. So it's a lot, but it's a really good way to kind of build something. Like, you know, we go from like just a dry synth to this big atmospheric sound, and to really get it like, you know, powerful sounding like this, you need to layer these together. So that's what we got going on there. From there, I'm going to put a little bit of drum bass on it to fatten it up. I find this kind of helps bring out the dry signal a little bit as well. Like, sometimes, especially when you're using echo and reverb, it can get a little bit lost. But I feel like this gives it like a really good balance. And you can hear, again, that just makes it a lot fatter and like better for being in your track. It's going to make your overall track sound a lot better. Should I put this root note down an octave? Yeah, there we go. So yeah, you can hear it sounds really fat and really full now, and it's a combination of the way we voice this chord, because, like I said, this is just an F minor chord, and I'm just taking the root note and put it down an octave, and then the minor third, and put it up an octave. It's a combination of that, as well as just the way we've set up the synth, and the way that we've really, like, optimize this here. So the last thing I'd probably put on here is just a bit of EQ8, you know. Gotta cut out that low end to make room for the rumble kick. Maybe like a little bit of low mid-range cut in there as well. Alright, sounds cool. So, there's our first pad. So, I'm gonna show you how to make another one now using FM synthesis. What we're gonna do is we are gonna get Operator. And I like using Operator for pads. I've made a few pad videos before where I've used Operator. The good thing about using FM synthesis is that when you're working with saw waves and square waves and sine waves and triangle waves, sometimes it can get a little bit like, it gets easy to get stuck in like just making stuff that sounds like a saw wave or a square wave with a filter on it. But with FM synthesis, because you're generating all these new and different types of waveforms by combining waveforms, you can make a lot more interesting stuff. So let's make some MIDI for this. I'll make something that's also in F. We'll do another F minor. This one will bounce between C, the fifth, and then C sharp, so one note up. Nice, and we'll keep all of these in the same octave for this one. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to stick with the sine wave that we have, and I'm going to start just turning these oscillators up. To be honest with you, with FM synthesis, it's never like I'm aiming for, and I don't think anybody does it this way who like knows what they're doing. Like, it's never that you're aiming for a specific sound. It's more that you're just aiming for like cool stuff that you wouldn't expect, if that makes any sense. Like, once you start turning these up and start playing around with like the different, like the detuning and the different chorus pitches, it's like you're just gonna happen upon cool stuff. Like this, for example, you can hear it. It sounds super detuned and super just like different and exciting. And I wouldn't have thought of this if I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna sit down with an FM synth and make exactly the sound in my head. So it's important to kind of just trust yourself and dive into the process and see what comes out. But yeah, so we can change one of these to a different waveform as well. Like, I like to mix in a square wave or a saw wave here and there. You can hear what that does. It gives it a really cool texture, especially having it detuned like that. Alright, sounds good. So then I'm going to turn on the LFO here, and we're going to turn off this retrigger. What this does is basically it just re-triggers every time you restart the synth. So you can hear this really easily now because this is on the pitches. You can hear when I hit a note, it just keeps starting at the same place, this LFO. If I turn off the re-trigger, There we go. Now it'll go from anywhere. So it's a good way to make it feel more alive when you turn that off. And I'm going to put this on the volume of oscillator B. Alright, that sounds good. I also just added an extra harmonic onto the first oscillator, so this is now like this weird kind of sine curved shape thing. But yeah, like, that's another good thing with FM, since this is drawing in your own harmonics, and you can do that really easily in Operator. But yeah, so sounding good. We got some movement here. Let's put a filter on it. I'm going to use a bandpass for this. I'm going to turn the resonance up. And we're also going to put the LFO on that. I'm going to turn down the amount. Okay, that sounds cool. So you can hear now some nice movement going on there. It's a very interesting sound. Let's add some chorus to it. I like turning up the feedback on the chorus. You can hear we're getting that really cool watery sort of sound. Alright, sounds good. Let's also put a little bit of a phaser on here. The phaser can be good. It's a good way to get like a different texture. Like, a lot of times people will use it like this. You know, just straight like moving. But if you turn off the LFO and just like kind of move the frequency around, you can get a cool texture out of the synth that you couldn't really get otherwise. It has like a very vocal characteristic to it. I'm also going to put that before the chorus. Alright, sounds good. Let's put some reverb on this one. Beautiful. And I'm going to give it a bit of saturation to beef it up. Again, you can hear it's just making it much more powerful. And not so like soft. Like, I feel like the issue that I used to have a lot with my pads is like, it can be very easy to make your pad sound way too soft, right? Like, especially when you have it going through the reverb and the chorus and stuff, it just gets very pushed to the background. So the saturation and the drum bus that I used on the other pad, really good for just beefing this up. And like making it as powerful and as full as like your leads or something. Okay, I want to hear that an octave down. But yeah, so this is sounding pretty good. Let's get a bit of EQ on there. I'll get an EQ8. Cut out some of that Lauren, you can see. And let's even out this range. Sometimes I'll do this with the EQ. Like, if you notice, this stuff here is way louder than everything else. So you can literally just turn that down. Like, an EQ is nothing more than just a very specified volume knob. So that's what we're doing there. And now you can hear the overall sound sounds more even and cleaner. Alright, well, sounding pretty good. These are cool. Two cool little pads that we made here, and yeah, I believe that is going to be it for this one, guys. So, thank you very much. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get all these project and samples and MIDI and presets, stuff that we created here for free in the description, so make sure to check for that. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it's available without a download gate. Like I said, guys, my new EP is dropping this Friday. I'm super excited. If you're following me on any of my social medias, you're going to be seeing it a ton this week. And yeah, so be on the lookout for that. If you like this video, there's a ton of cool stuff like this on there. Thank you so much, everybody. I love you all, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.